We've got our first post-draft power ranking.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Derry with you on a Friday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Friday, May 3rd into Saturday, May 4th. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to those of you that subscribe and watch us every day for free on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. We appreciate all of you, and that includes our everydayers that are out there watching and listening each and every day right here on Locked On Lions. And that includes our buddy Plymouth Jim Mulhern, who sent me some stuff today for the show, which I always appreciate. You can follow me on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, Matt Derry Facebook fan page. And also, again, like I said, please subscribe. Check us out for free on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I've got a competitive side, and I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or on Google Play. Got to get into some power rankings. TheAthletic.com put their post-draft power rankings together the other day. Where do the Lions fall? Where do they sit? Are they a top 5 team? Are they a top 3 team? Are they a top 2 team? We will tell you that momentarily. I'll tell you if I agree or disagree with that. Also, some photos, a photo all over the internet of Brian Branch in a walking boot and a scooter. What's going on there? We got to dive into that coming up momentarily here on Locked On Lions. Also on the show today, many are speculating about the Lions adding another receiver, but they've stood pat so far while others have signed elsewhere. We will talk about that today right here on Locked On Lions. If you missed yesterday's show, Ross Tucker joined us. Ross Tucker Football Podcast, CBS Westwood One. There are a lot of good analysts out there, and we've had a lot of good ones on the show. Ross is right up there. He is as good as it gets when it comes to being a football analyst. So if you missed yesterday's show, we had some issues with YouTube till about 9 o'clock last night in posting the episode, but go back and watch it or listen to it. Ross was incredible. Tuesday. Sorry for cussing. I had Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus, their draft analyst, on the show Tuesday. So go back and watch those two or listen to those two shows this week. We've had some good shows here. A lot of people like what the Lions have done in the draft. Check all of that out right here on Locked On Lions. Funny, this morning, backing out of my driveway at 6:15 in the morning, going to the gym with my wife, and she was on her TikTok, and she was watching a video that the NFL put out of Terrion Arnold on the phone with Dan Campbell the night he was drafted, and how excited he was and how energized he was to be in Detroit. And my wife turns to me and says, and she's not really a big sports fan, but she knows about my Lions passion, and we watch the games on Sundays and all of that. And she's like, man, listen to this player talk about coming to Detroit and how excited he is. This is such a far cry from when she grew up here or just in general. And it is a testament to this organization that that players do want to be here, and that this is a destination spot. And that kind of leads me to this power ranking. So like I said before, my buddy Jim Mulhern, check out his podcast, sent me this article today from theathletic.com. And I understand that a lot of you do not, some of you don't subscribe to The Athletic. So that's why sometimes we utilize their stuff so we can send it to you and share it with you. Post NFL draft power rankings. Bears rise, Falcons slide, Chiefs still reign. And this is written by NFL writer Josh Kendall. So now that the draft is complete, where do the teams stand in terms of power rankings going into the season? Now, again, there will be some post-June 1st cuts. There will be some players that will be let go. There will be some players that will be traded. There'll be some signings, late free agents, guys that are still available, et cetera, going to other teams that could affect this list. But right now, after the draft, here are the Athletic.com's power rankings for NFL teams. Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. They were number 1 before this. They're still number 1 now. San Francisco 49ers come in at number 2. Not a surprise, even though many felt the Niners draft was very meh, including Dane Brugler of The Athletic, who ranked their draft 25th out of 32 teams. At number 3, your Detroit Lions. They remain at number 3. They were at number 3 in the Athletics Power Rankings after free agency. Dane Brugler ranked the Lions number 3, third best draft out of the 32 teams. Josh Kendall writes in the article, quote, Detroit was 28th last season in defensive passing EPA, so it used its first 2 picks on cornerbacks. Sensible enough. Then the Lions returned to their contrarian form by using their third pick, a 4th rounder, which they acquired by trading away a 2025 third rounder on a Tongan offensive tackle from Canada, Giovanni Manu, whom Brugler projected as a priority free agent. That's the wacky Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell Lions we've come to love here. So the Lions come in at number 3, ahead of Baltimore at 4, Houston at 5, Green Bay at 6, Dallas at 7, Cleveland at 8, Cincinnati at 9, and Buffalo at 10. So the Lions are the 3rd best team in the league right now, if you go by what theathletic.com thinks. Now, the division is so much better. Green Bay, as I mentioned, is 6th. The Bears moved up 10 spots after the draft. They went from 23rd to 13th. Dane Brugler ranked them number 1 for the best draft. And the Vikings, who were at 19th, moved to 20th. So the division's solid. When the worst team in your division is ranked 20th, and there are still, 11 other teams, 12 other teams after you, that's going to tell you that this is going to be a slobber knocker of a year for this division. No question about it. But what do you think of the Lions being at number 3? Well, think about it. Last year, Detroit finished in the NFC Championship game. They finished with 14 wins. They made it all the way to the title game. And there were some, including the nerdy host on ESPN in the mornings, who said, well, the window's closed. That was their chance, blah, blah, blah. They had it. They blew it. They might not be back. It's very, no. The window is wide open. The door is wide open for this team to kick it down this year. You look at the roster already based on free agency, adding guys like DJ Reader, Kevin Zeitler, Marcus Davenport. This team on paper is better. And then you throw in the draft. Look at the additions of Carlton Davis and Amick Robertson in the secondary. Then you add Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Don't tell me this roster isn't better. If this team finished around 3rd or 4th last year, based upon just where they finished, it was Baltimore and Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. It was Detroit and San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. The Lions were a top 4 team last year. I don't care that they played maybe not a ready for primetime Rams team and an overhyped Bucks team and an overrated Bucks team in the second round. I don't care. Yes, the Lions had a nice path to the NFC Championship game because they didn't have to go to Dallas. All that's, I know that. But it's a good football team. And you cannot argue. You look at the secondary, you look at the offensive line and the addition of Zeitler. You could say that's already an upgrade from Jonah Jackson. You look at up front with Reader and Davenport. Last year, they were trotting out the Okwara brothers. Like, hello. Lions are better right now. They're absolutely a top 3 team. Is the division better? Yes. Are the Packers going to be a bitch? Yes. Bears are going to be so much better. Yeah, but the Lions played a bad Bears team last year and probably should have lost twice to Chicago. Seriously. They lost once at Soldier Field and got their clocks cleaned. And then the game at home, they escaped. They escaped that game. So they already had their issues with the Bears last year. And I always make fun of the Bears. But yes, I think that's exactly where the Lions should be at number 3. I do. Baltimore whooped on the Lions last year. You could make an argument Ravens 3, Lions 4. You could. What was the Ravens draft grade from Dane Brugler? Ravens draft was 12th. All right, so that's not bad. Not bad at all. But I think that's exactly where the Lions are until they beat the 49ers, and they'll play them again in the regular season and maybe again in the playoffs. Then we'll see. But I'm excited. We're going into the next season with this team as a top three team. Top three team. At the bottom, I didn't mention this, but let me just do that for our audience here. At the bottom of these rankings, the last place team on this is Carolina, not a surprise when you're owned by David Tepper. Denver, 31. New Orleans, 30. Yeah, the Saints are pretty bad. Arizona at 29. Arizona is going to be better than people think this year. I like Jonathan Gannon, their coach. I think he does a very good job. All right, so that's where we're at with the Lions and the Athletics power rankings. Awesome to even sit here on May the 3rd, betting third, and say, man, we got a top three football team in this town. We do. Schedule's going to be tougher. Division's going to be tougher. But I think this team is up for the challenge. It's got to stay healthy. Speaking of health, what's going on with Brian Branch? Spotted at the draft, taking pictures with people. He was at events. Then all of a sudden, a picture on the internet. Looks like he's injured. We will discuss that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions brought to you by FanDuel. Excuse the voice. It's been cracky. It's been hoarse all week. But hey, how about this? Did you watch those NBA playoff games last night? That 76ers Knicks game was awesome. If you had money on the game, it made it even more fun, right? It's winner take all time now in the NBA. And the NHL playoffs are in full swing too. FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. That includes the Josh Hart 3 last night as the Knicks beat the Sixers. How about Patrick Beverley? What a clown. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, welcome back to the program here. It's a Friday edition of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network. Brad Banta is going to join us next week. We're chasing down Andrew Siciliano as well. We'll have a good week next week and continue to talk about the Lions, et cetera, as we do each and every day. Thanks for checking us out daily right here on Locked On Lions. And as I talked about, making us your first listen. Apologies. We had some technical issues with getting the YouTube show up until last night about 9:30. Thanks to our buddy Ross Jackson. And by the way, if you missed it, go to awfulannouncing.com and read the article about the Locked On Network and what we're doing. Because David Locke, who's the man that started the network, the man that made the phone call to me in 2016 to have me join the team and start up with him, has built an unbelievable network. If if you're a Wings fan, you watch Locked On Red Wings. If you're a Tigers fan, Locked On Tigers. Michigan State. Koo does Locked On Pistons, does a great job on that show. The network's just killing it, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Really am. It was a great article and a piece about how Locked On's doing so well and how some of these other networks, some of the podcasts are going away, which is too bad because more competition, the more the merrier for you, the fan, right? All right. So this was circulating around the internet the other day. There was a tweet that went out from Clutch Sports Group, which is Rich Paul and those guys that represent NFL players, NBA players, etc. Terrion Arnold and Brian Branch, and they were talking outside the draft. It looks like Thursday night because Arnold was in his suit. Brian Branch is in a green sweatshirt, khaki pants, but he's got a scooter, and his left leg is elevated on the scooter with a walking boot on his left foot. This started making the rounds around the internet the other day, and people started sharing it. Even the Lions Reddit page shared some pictures of Brian Branch with this boot on. It's not that clear that that's a boot on his left foot, but it appears to be so. But Brian Branch, if you remember last year, missed a handful of games, 2 or 3 games with an ankle injury. But that was on his right leg. This is apparently his left foot. Lions have OTAs coming up this month, May 21st. But if you're in a walking boot and using a scooter right now, not a good sign. Hopefully he's fine. There has been no comment from the Lions as of now, and no, they haven't had any media availability. But, we talk so much about the importance of health in this sport. And yes, the Lions have as much depth right now as they've had in years. Guys get hurt, guys come up and step up. Last year, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got hurt, and everybody started freaking out. And Ife Melifonwu came in and did such a good job that the Lions actually got better, I thought, in the secondary once he started playing. Then the Lions made Tracy Walker expendable. Ife came in and did a great job. Last year along the offensive line, when Ragnow had to sit out or Jackson got hurt, the Lions weren't as good, okay, but they were still pretty solid when Glasgow was playing center, and Owashika and others had to fill in. They still did a pretty good job. Brian Branch in a walking boot. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but he's such a good football player. I was so impressed with him right out of the gate. First game of the year last year against the Chiefs, where he was on the field a ton for a rookie in that slot, playing the nickel corner, playing the slot corner. Sometimes they had him back, in that safety spot in the box, gets up and tackles. This is a guy that I don't talk about. Maybe it's my fault. I don't talk about enough on this podcast. He's excellent. And I don't really put him in the cornerback room when we talk corners, because the Lions have so many now. I forget him a lot of times because he can just play everywhere. Hopefully this is nothing serious. Boot on his foot. Hopefully it gets healed. He's ready for training camp, which obviously isn't until late July. But anytime you see that, you kind of hold your breath a little bit because of just how important a player like Brian Branch is. And now to have his former college teammate, Terrion Arnold here from Alabama, in that secondary, they've already played with each other. They already know each other's tendencies. And these are going to be some really, really valuable pieces and some guys that are going to be here on this team for a very long time. But we don't talk enough, I think, about how much better the Lions defense is when Brian Branch is on his A game, when he's making plays on the ball, interceptions, pick sixes, excellent tackler in the open field. And he just, especially early in the year, I thought his game tailed off a little midseason. He got hurt, came back. I thought he played well at the end too. He's just really, really good. So hopefully nothing major. Lions haven't said anything. There's not been any kind of release or comment about the foot, but I'm sure the next time the team, Dan Campbell or somebody hits the podium, they'll update us on his situation. But never a good sign to see a guy with a scooter and a walking boot. But again, he was at a bunch of different draft parties. I know I saw some pictures with him and some folks that I know both on LinkedIn and Facebook where he didn't have the scooter. So maybe he was walking with the boot, used the scooter. Who knows? But regardless, health is vital for this team. Got to have your best players out on the field, whether it's the Penei Sewells of the world on offense or Jared Goff, of course. And oh, by the way, I'm already starting to see articles online about what if Hendon Hooker has a great preseason. Can we please stop with this? There's people online comparing the Michael Penix situation with Kirk Cousins to Hendon Hooker and Jared Goff. Like, come on. Because Jared Goff is under contract for this year with the Lions. I get that his deal's up after next year. But guess what? They can franchise tag him if they need to. He's not going anywhere. This team has gone the furthest it's ever gone. Not ever, but you know what I mean. Furthest it's ever gone since the early 90s. Made the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991 with Jared Goff at quarterback. I like Hendon Hooker. Maybe he'll be a good backup. Maybe he'll play a little bit if Goff gets hurt, knock on wood. But I know what's going to happen during the preseason. Goff's not going to play in the preseason. Hooker is. He's going to look good, and people are going to exaggerate. That Jared Goff's the man here. I hope they get a deal done with him. But come on, make that stop, please. I can't handle it. All right. Wide receiver room. Still a little bit thin with no Josh Reynolds. Lions added a couple of kids in undrafted free agency. UDFAs, rookies. But there's one player that many speculated would come back to Detroit, and he is not. We'll tell you about that coming up next. Right here on Locked On Lions. This is a Friday edition. Oh, I got to talk about Monopoly Go. My wife is addicted to this game. It is absolutely out of control. She absolutely loves Monopoly Go. Got to pause the show to talk more about it. And I'm sure you're saying, flag on the play. You've talked about this all week. Yes, I have. But there's just so much good stuff in this game when we're talking about Monopoly Go. It is a lot of fun. You can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with a friend to complete albums for the big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with if you love Monopoly. Hilarious emojis so you can taunt your friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. There's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or even rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench, go download it right now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on with our friends at Monopoly Go. All right, so I'm sure some of you saw this the other day, or maybe it was yesterday, but former Lions wide receiver DJ Chark, who was back with Carolina last year, played with the Lions 2 years ago on a one-year deal. He didn't play that well. He was fine after the Lions got him from Jacksonville. DJ Chark has just signed a one-year deal with the LA Chargers. The Chargers are focused on one thing. We know this with Jim Harbaugh: offensive line, defensive line, O-line, D-line. But they've drafted some receivers, and they just signed DJ Chark to a one-year deal. You look at the Lions wide receiver room right now, you see Jamison Williams, you see Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, um, um, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Antoine Green, Tom Kennedy. The Lions have some Maurice Alexander, and the Lions have taken a flyer on a couple of guys as undrafted rookie free agents, Williams from Illinois and Calhoun from Duke. And these are a couple of guys that have a chance. But with losing Josh Reynolds, the Lions really have not gone out other than re-signing DPJ to a one-year deal, the Detroit native, former Michigan Wolverine, and Cleveland Brown. There still is an opportunity for this team to maybe add a wide receiver. But I was thinking about this the other day after I was perusing the internet, and I did see an article. I'm trying to remember where I saw this. Might have been Sideline Report. Somebody said, "Will the Lions take a flyer on Odell Beckham Jr.?" The Lions have a better chance of playing the kid Isaiah Williams from Illinois than the undrafted kid that they got, as I mentioned before, than and a guy, Traquan Smith is another guy that they signed who was with the Niners, but they're not signing Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think they're even going to sign Jamal Agnew or any of these other receivers. Tyler Boyd wants $5 million a year. It's a good football player. Maybe as the number gets lower and we get closer to training camp, if he's still not signed, that the Lions would take a flyer on him, the former Cincinnati Bengal who has had a really good career. But I think the Lions are going to give Donovan Peoples-Jones more of an opportunity this year. He was kind of lost in the shuffle last year in a numbers game. He was behind Josh Reynolds. And I think he's going to get the opportunity to step up. But here's the other thing. Could they use a talent like OBJ? Sure, they could. But they're not going to do that. And we all know why. Look at Brad Holmes' track record over the last few years. Look at what Brad Holmes has done in the draft. He wants Lions. He wants culture fits. He wants locker room fits. He wants scheme fits. You think he's going to bring OBJ into this locker room? I don't think so. Tyler Boyd, if he's asking for $5 million, I think the Lions feel like we'll go with what we have. We'll hope one of the younger guys steps up. They drafted Antoine Green last year in the 7th round. At times he played this year. It didn't throw him the ball much. But this is not a situation where I see this football team making that kind of a move. And so anytime a player signs another team, whether it's DJ Chark, whatever, DJ Chark, another guy off the list. Lions are, we'll see. Maybe one of these younger guys steps up. Maybe a guy like Maurice Alexander, who's been with the team a couple of years, has a lot of speed. Maybe he emerges as somebody that not only is just on the practice squad, but makes the team, can be a part of the kick return mix. Lions have a lot of options in the kick return game now with the new rules. including Vaki Town, Sione Vaki, who could be back there, and DPJ, and Maurice Alexander, and even Jamison Williams, I could see as a possibility being back there as part of that tandem for kick returns. But I don't see Detroit right now making any kind of veteran move at wide receiver. And I didn't see a DJ Chark coming back. I'd like Jamal Agnew. I think Agnew's good. I like Jamal, but he's been out there now for a few months, and the Lions, we haven't heard any smoke about that at all. So, all right, that's your week right here of Locked On Lions. Thanks for checking us out Monday through Friday, or we are with you each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen. Checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Again, Trevor Sikkema from Tuesday, go back and listen or watch. It was great. And Ross Tucker, my man, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, CBS Westwood One analyst, was amazing last night as well. We are back again next week with more right here on Locked On Lions. Have a great weekend, everybody. Travel safe if you are traveling to a graduation or something like that.